And it's Tobago Thursday, so this morning in your spotlight, we're talking about Trinidad and Tobago Youths Will Rise, the NGO that is. And to do so, I want to welcome this morning Ambassador Nickocy Phillips. Good morning, Ambassador.
Good morning, good morning. How are you?
So far, so good. How are you doing?
I am blessed and highly flavored as always.
Highly flavored, you say? All right, nice. So tell us about TT Youths Will Rise, the NGO. How did it get
We have
started
been in
and what do you guys
existence.
do?
Oh, first of all, let me just say a pleasant good morning to the TTT staff, to the members of all the people of citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning. TT Youth Will Rise has been in existence for approximately since 2015. And we have been hitting ways locally, regionally, and internationally. And we have been continuing, even during this pandemic, we have been doing our social programs dealing with the youths, doing our hamper drive and doing a lot of different stuff. And we have been pushing some buckets very low.
All right. So how has the pandemic affected the work that you guys are doing?
It has affected us tremendously, tremendously. We have not seen, this is the first time we've seen a call for so much help. So much social help, it has been really baffling, especially in regards to the youths. Devices were an issue. It still is an issue as we speak. A lot of youths we're seeing now on the streets, they're not even in school, and that's very troublesome. And we are trying as much as possible to see what we can do. As the ambassador, my executive and I, we just finished our book bag drive to Trinidad and Tobago. And wow, it has been devastating to us all.
That's the said look back drive? Ambassador?
Sorry,
can you repeat? You said, what is the name of the drive?
Back to school book bag drive.
Ah, okay. Yeah. And people have been needing lots of supplies, yeah?
Yes, we have distributed, just yesterday I returned from Trinidad. We have distributed approximately 1,224 bags in Trinidad, and in Tobago 245 bags. But some of the bags have tablets as well as other school supplies and stuff. Those who receive tablets are persons who have never received any device at all from COVID. So
nice.
Those are the persons we focus on.
Ambassador, this sounds like a very expensive undertaking. Where do you guys get the funding from? Do you get assistance from the government, from the THA?
There's no assistance, nothing. Every time we apply for assistance since 2015 to now, to the Ministry of Sport, the Ministry of Youth Affairs, the division, there has been nothing. Every time they come to us, they tell us, bring in everything. We do everything, and then after that, we wait, we call, or there's no funding. Just before the election, and then after the election, there's nothing, and this goes to that ministry. We have been receiving funding from our international partners, Pink Africa Foundation, the Women's Pakistani Group. I have friends in different places, and they keep on contributing a lot to our drive, and that is where we get the funding. But we have not received any assistance. Presently, I wrote to the Division of Health and Social Services to ask for a lump sum to carry us through. I think there's a subvention that the Ministry of Social Development undertakes, but when we applied to Trinidad, they told us they only deal with Trinidad groups. We have to be transferred to Tobago, which I find it was very weird, because if it's the Ministry of Social Development for Trinidad and Tobago, yeah. We are NGO and we work in Trinidad as well. And this is the reason why we're fighting for our autonomy in Tobago. Every time we apply to a Trinidad ministry, they're forwarding us back to Tobago. That is wrong. This is the ministries of Trinidad and Tobago, and we have not getting any assistance, nothing whatsoever, from none of the divisions, none of the ministry. And we continue to push. When we put on the call, I'm a very cool person, and whenever I call upon my friends or call upon anyone, and they see the work that I've been doing, they have been continuing to fund us and to give us all the support, especially in times of this COVID-19.
Well, we give thanks for that you're able to still find that way to be able to support and to lend a hand where necessary. How do you decide on who gets the bags or whatever assistance that you're offering?
We have an executive team in Trinidad, and we also do have an executive team in Tobago. And we ask them, we have the PRO and the welfare officer. Those two officers have a team, they assemble a team, and they go around to different communities, especially in Trinidad. It's a little bigger, Especially some of our sponsors are from, most of our sponsors are from Trinidad. So whatever different community that the sponsors are, they also chime in and look, we target some of the schools to make sure that they have the devices. We liaise with someone in education to make sure that they don't have double devices. So we have an excellent team. And, there are some persons who are very, miserable. They will have devices and still call. We have all the things for that. We check up and do a background check to make sure that everything is spotless. And the team is very excellent, and we have been working with that team for the longest while. So they will determine who gets it. What we did this year is focus more on special needs kids and single mothers with single children, with single mothers and fathers as well. So that was the drive this year. We looked at those who couldn't afford, who couldn't get it. Up to just last term, we was in Penal, and we're focusing on Penal and some of those districts that have been neglected. Those are what we've been looking at.
Very interesting. Well, congratulations on this drive, because I think, everybody needs to be able to assist where they can, and you've been doing so. So congratulations to you and the team, in spite of all the challenges that you may be facing. I know that you guys normally take part in a lot of UN conferences as well. Have you been able to do that virtually, or have you put that on the back burner?
Yes, we did the 64th section and the 65th session. We did it virtually with the UN. There was the one in Mexico. There was the other one in Chile. We did some of the online conferences. It mostly dealt with COVID-19,
right.
Women and COVID-19. Also deal with gender equality and stuff. So it was very good. It was very fruitful. And I think they're preparing for next year. I can't remember exactly where it's going to be next year.
Okay.
But we also here at Team Trinidad and Tobago Youth Will Rise, we are focusing on a youth leadership conference as well. We were supposed to host one. Because of the COVID, it couldn't happen. So right now we're working to put it together. So in 2023, we will be having all the NGOs that we're internationally partnered with, Pakistani, South Africa, all the different countries. We're going to put it together and we're going to have a big conference. We're looking to hopefully have some of the persons come into the island once the borders are open, and once they are fully vaccinated and they are following all health protocols. Some of the persons will be here to do that conference as well.
All right, that's great. So this month, we kind of call it Patriotism Month. Trinidad and Tobago, we celebrate from independence to Republic Day. And the National Youth Awards nominations, they are open. Will TT Youth Will Rise be taking part in nominating anybody?
Well, unfortunately, just late last night, I had a discussion with my executive. As I said, we continue to have the bad end of the stick here in Tobago. They sent me that nomination yesterday at 4:17 p.m. and they're telling us that today is the deadline. So I responded and tell them that we will not be taking that again, because every year they continue to do it. Send it like a day before, and we have to rush with all these nominations. We have to find people. So the executive right now, we are at a standstill. I have written a response to them for the ministry. If they do not give us an extension in Tobago or us, the NGOs, we will not be taking part, because every year is the same thing. They continue to leave us as last rated, and that's not going to happen again. We have put our foot down, and we are not going to accept that. Trinidad and Tobago is two islands, one country, and we NGOs in Tobago deserve the same respect as anybody else, and we cannot be coming and sending that yesterday for today. That's not going to happen. So unfortunately,
Ambassador, tell me something, Ambassador, just to break it down so that we understand exactly what you're saying. Is it that you have to wait for the ministry to send you something before you can put together a list of nominees or suggested nominees?
Yes, well, yes. Yesterday we received that they sent a list of all the groups of where you can apply for which categories, and they also sent us that invitation to groups that I think is yesterday.
Right,
when the executive secretary told me, look, we received an email. I said at 4:17 p.m. and the deadline is today.
Right, but Ambassador, is it that the categories change every year in terms of where you can nominate people for?
Yes, some of the categories have changed.
Right.
And it's not only that, not because of the categories have changed. The whole point is that we have the amount of information that needs to be processed. It's too much, and we have different categories that we have to enter because we have to go look for youth. We have to go look for their information. We have to get ID cards from nominators. So it is a lot of things that cannot happen in a day. It's very disrespectful to us, especially in Tobago.
Understood. But I think maybe one of the ways, we all know that the public service is not the smoothest at times, right? And there is a work in progress to be able to digitize and digitalize everything.
That's a
So
long progress.
maybe what we can do going forward is that if we know every year around this time we have National Youth Awards, maybe we can prepare a list going through the year so that when the time comes for it and we can say, all right, even if you send it last minute, we're going to jam them still and get them a proper list.
Of course, and they should also have communication.
Agreed.
Use a phone, your custom calling. Call us and let us know. You have a list of all our executives. Call an executive and say, listen, we sent you an email and it was in the junk. Right? So, you use different means of communication. We know there's a pandemic, but everybody continues to use the pandemic as an excuse for their lack of doing their work properly. Right? You pick up the phone and call. You don't know if somebody have internet or not, call. That's all we're asking for. Just to give us that self-respect that we deserve, because it's very unfair to us here in Tobago. That's all we're asking for.
That's for proper communication. Speaking of communication, Ambassador, how has your organization been treating with this whole vaccinate to operate situation? Are you guys recommending people get vaccinated?
Wow, that's a hard question. To be honest with you, we have been trying our best. We have been printing some pamphlets with the information that we have received from the Ministry of Health. Very carefully, we have been doing our drive, been walking, talking to the youths, but it's something that we have to continue to look for and to look at, because what I would say personally, everybody have a right to their own choice, and the vaccination is their own choice based on information received. Especially for the education sector, we have to be very careful, because if the parents don't have the sufficient information, they can't make that decision. So I believe, and I'm saying it outright, I have not taken the vaccination as yet. I'm still contemplating, and persons have the right to do that when they have sufficient and accurate information. And I'm leaving it right there.
Well, I don't want to leave it there. I want to ask more questions.
Yes,
I'm curious as to your reason for not taking it, or for choosing to not take it just yet.
I have been following the international media a lot. Not the international media, but WHO. And there are some inaccuracies, especially when our government say do this or don't do this, or when the media asks them about certain things. For example, I have been also advocating as to what is the reason for community testing, because you cannot arrest 50 persons or 300 persons in a party, and then you only charge them and send them back into the population. That is wrong. That is not community testing, because if you're saying gathering is the purpose of the rise in the cases, and you having a big zest party with 300 person, 200 person, and your only thing is to charge them, make money off of them, and send them back into their grandparents' home, their mother's home. What is the purpose of community testing?
But what does that have to do with vaccination, though?
Huh?
What does that have to do with vaccination?
Because then you will have an accuracy in the numbers. You remember you're saying that the young people are the ones who are carrying home the vaccine and carrying home the virus. They are the ones who are giving the elderly virus. But it has to do especially with community testing, because you cannot have an accurate number. If it's that you're focused on charging the person and not testing them, because once you're in that large gathering, you don't know who had the COVID or not, but you're sending them, you're just charging them and sending them back into the population, because it has a lot to do with vaccination and a lot to do with the COVID cases and the numbers.
I'm not clear on the link between that and vaccination, because to me it sounds like you're making an argument that says you should get vaccinated because that is happening. And yeah, I mean, that's a good point that you bring up. It's a valid point. However, with regards to vaccination, for me, that makes me want to get vaccinated, because I'm not sure what's going on with anybody else around me, so I want to be safe. So I'm just trying to be clear on what you're saying there.
Right, okay. To be clear, the thing is, vaccination, yes, vaccinate to operate, that's their terminology, which I don't think that I am in agreement to. I think, as I said, as somebody in the pharmacy field and in the medical field, a patient has 18 Charter of Rights. The right to refuse medication, the right to refuse treatment, the right to proper information. And if information is not coming to hand properly and persons don't understand, because a lot of people, we're not seeing pamphlets. We have different drugs, we have different vaccines. You have to go, not everybody is tech savvy. Have flyers in the community. Let them see, people see the different types of vaccines that there are, their side effects and stuff, and let people decide. But to force those kind of vaccination process on persons vaccinated to operate, and they're saying that it's not going to be mandatory, but the kind of tone that you're using in the media, it's very challenging to persons to make that decision. I think it's supposed to be given to persons the decision to make on their own based on information. Without information, you cannot make decisions.
I firmly agree with what you're saying there, but I think the information has been out there. Maybe I understand people have hesitancy, I understand people have fear, but the information has been out there. I think it's time that we go hunting for the information rather than expecting it to fall on our laps. But I do want to get back to applauding the work that you've been doing, Ambassador, and I want you to keep up the great work in terms of being able to facilitate, especially school children, with getting books and devices to be able to go to school. But I want to thank you so much for your time this morning, Ambassador, and for joining us inside the Now Morning Show.
Thank you. So that was a question?
No, I'm just saying thank you and have a great day.
Oh, yes, thank you so much, and thank you very much to TDT. And just before we go, we will be focusing on the hamper and food sister drive.
Yeah.
That will be happening in December, so we will keep you TDT informed. And thank you so much again for having us, and you have a wonderful day.
You as well. Take care. That's Ambassador Nickocy Phillips of the TT Youths Will Rise.